What's going on, Just Trippin' fam? It's your boy. I'm back. I know I've been absent for about a month or so, but I've got a new job where I am kind of like doing a little bit of side work, doing photography and video work at some of the different car dealerships. So basically, if you ever had a chance to look at one of the shorts that I uploaded, you would have kind of saw a little bit of the content of what I was talking about as far as like what I do at that job and how I kind of film it and make it look cinematic, a little bit similar to one of the videos that I've got on the channel. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to come back and I wanted to make a video, but I wanted to focus strictly on checklists. I know I have another video that is in the archives that pretty much gives you guys a lot of different tips and different things of that sort. But this particular video, I wanted to focus solely on checklist. So let's just jump right on into it. So we can talk about everything from the checklist of what you would need as you're planning to everything for when you're actually on the boat. And I do have my notes just as well, just to make sure that I pretty much stay on track, stay on time. So let's just talk about the first thing. Let's talk about that carry-on bag. What is the purpose of the carry-on bag? Well, the carry-on bag is actually going to be your best friend. So what'll happen is once you get on that cruise, that luggage that you actually have that, let's just say on the typical plane would go under the plane, you have no access to it. So once you give it to one of the porters that are at the port, those are the people who will be there once you arrive, whether by shuttle, Uber, however you get to the port, they will be there waiting to grab your bags. A little tip, make sure you have a little cash, $5, $10, just to give to that porter. That way you're kind of saying, thank you for grabbing my bags. I don't have to take them. Do what you will. So with that being said, once again, back to the carry-on bag. You want to make sure that everything is in that carry-on bag that you will need. So everything from your documents, so that being your passport, your ID, anything that you may need as soon as you get on the boat. Let's just say water shoes, bathing suit, swimsuit, towels, any of that sort. So just make sure that you have all of your important documentation in that bag, along with anything that you feel that you might need. Now, when you get on the boat, typically it will not be ready at least until around 1 to 1:30, sometimes even 2 o'clock I've seen on certain particular rooms. So you always want to make sure that you have everything that you need, because once again, once you give that bag to that porter at the port, hey, you will not have access to that bag anymore. So you pretty much have to rely on that carry-on bag to have everything that you'll need until you are granted access into your room. Another item that I had talked about in a previous video would be the bungee cord. Now, the bungee cord, we all know a lot of people use those to tie down furniture, to tie down anything into a truck as you're moving. Well, in this particular case, you'll want to use a bungee cord as a way to secure normally your 2-liter items to your luggage. And so I've talked about that in the previous video. I'm not sure if I'll be able to link it, but it's very simple. You'll take that 2-liter case, you'll set it on top of your luggage, you'll raise the handle on the luggage, you'll take that bungee cord, tie it around, and secure it to the handles of the luggage. And that'll keep it secure. So that way, guess what? You're not having to hold it in your hand or any of that, because we all know, well, maybe you don't know, but that 2-liter cannot go obviously underneath or in the bags that the car porter has. They need to be able to see that and inspect that upon getting on the ship. So that is one of the items that you must carry on, as well as wine, and I believe it's 750 milliliters of wine. I could be wrong, but if so, I'll leave it down in the comments. But I want to say it's 750 milliliters you can take as far as the wine. You can also bring alternatives if you're not a person who drinks actually alcohol. So you can have the Welch's, those sparkling beverages. Those are pretty good. Let's talk about something that I really do not hear a lot of people talk about. And that's, what about if your luggage gets lost on the cruise, or what if anything happens? So what I want to talk about is the Apple AirTags. So with this AirTag, If you don't know anything about it, it's pretty much a little tracking device that you can use and you can track it on your iPhone. I'm not sure if you're an Android user, if you can still somehow track it. It might be possible. I don't know. I'm an iPhone user, so I know that it is compatible for me to use with my particular device. So what will happen is, let's just say, and there's so many uses for this, but when you're on that cruise, you can put that little Apple AirTag simply in your luggage, and that way you can track it at all times on your phone, right? But here's the other thing. Let's just say you have children that are on the cruise. Well, guess what? Take an AirTag, put it inside their pocket, maybe put it inside of a book bag or something that they're carrying to the kids' camp. Or let's just say you're one of those parents and you allow your children to just kind of roam on the boat and enjoy themselves with some of their friends. Okay, well, guess what? Give them an AirTag. Make sure that it stays on their person. And guess what? You'll know at all times where they are on this particular cruise ship. Now, I'm not really sure if you need to have Wi-Fi or if the AirTag actually works off of Wi-Fi, but you can look those little small details up. And if it is, then obviously you'll need to purchase the Wi-Fi package on the boat in order to make that of use. But once again, it is a very, very important thing to have as you're cruising, just to make sure that your luggage doesn't get lost. And also, if you just want a little bit of extra security for, once again, parents who have their kids in the kids' camp, or maybe let them just kind of have fun on the boat unattended, for a little bit of time, they can always know where their children are at all times. So let's talk about, once again, cruise insurance. Cruise insurance is kind of like at your own leisure. It is good in case something unfortunate happens, whether it's inclement weather that is not cruise related, but maybe on your end that's keeping you from getting there, whether it's any kind of just emergency that you have. Well, guess what? That is a way that you can kind of use that to make sure that you're getting refunded for your cruise fare. So let's just move right on along. We already talked about some of the things that you needed to make sure that you have inside of your carry-on bags. So I also you need to make sure, once again, you have your passport in that carry-on bag. You need to have any kind of credit cards, debit cards, any of that thing, cash that you may need, whether it's cash that you're going to take and lock up in your room inside of the safe, or whether you're going to take that cash and put it on your account through guest services once you embark onto the boat. But you want to make sure you have that. Make sure, and I've talked about this in a video before, we've all been on a cruise before, and maybe we've seen it and maybe we haven't, but we've all heard stories of some medical emergencies happening, right? So you want to make sure that you always have your medication if you're a person who needs it. If you're with somebody who they need medication and they don't want to take it, please encourage them to take that medication on board, because it could be one of those things that could be, life and death, depending on what it is they need medication for. But if you're a prescribed medication and you need to take it with you. Make sure you have maybe a pill organizer or something of that sort, and make sure you have that. As you can see, I wear glasses, so guess what? Another thing that you want to make sure you have in your carry-on are lens wipes. And guess what? If you're a contact user, make sure you have what? Your eye drops, re-wetting drops, enzyme drops, things of that sort. Make sure you have those things with you in your carry-on, because once again, if you have them under the other luggage, guess what? If you have an issue with anything, get dust in your eye from your contacts, whatever the case may be, you won't have access to that. So also make sure you have that contact case in your carry-on as well. So let's just talk about a few things that you may want to have in your room. And yes, this is going to be a shameless plug, because guess what? I actually carry some of these items on my website. So the link will be in the description, as it always is in every video, or at the end of every video. So some of these items that I'm actually talking about, you can get them there. And I will drop a special code, just because by the time that I'm releasing this video, which is today or tomorrow, we are coming up on a holiday weekend. So I will put a code in the comments, and I'll try to go ahead and pin that so that you guys can partake of that discount if you would like to grab anything for yourself. So once again, it's a shameless plug. I'm sorry, but it is what it is, all right? So we're going to talk about the magnetic hooks. What are the magnetic hooks good for? Well, guess what? They're good for saving space in your room. You have things that you want to hang from it, whether it be your hats or like the ladies hanging up the dresses, maybe the fellas hanging up dress shirts or anything of that sort. Yes, you can use the closet, but we all know that sometimes as we get to these various ports, we start buying things, and now we've just got a clutter of stuff in the room that now we have to find out, hey, where can we put this stuff? So the magnetic hooks are a good way, once again, to kind of keep your room decluttered, keep things off of the floor, and pretty much a lot of the surfaces in the room are magnetic. So once again, magnetic hooks, all right? We can also talk about the wrinkle spray for people who you may need, steam services or whatever. Now, I do want to point out that in one of the other videos that I did have, I did mention about the laundry services that they have, okay? So with the laundry services, if you do not bring, some wrinkle release spray or something like that, and you don't want to go down to the laundry room that is on your floor, well, guess what? You can fill out one of those cards and have your steward or your stewardess pick up your clothing and have it pressed, dry cleaned, whatever you want to call it. And they can get that done for you. So it's just one of those things, just you want to make sure that you're taken care of and you make sure that your garments are taken care of in the way that you particularly like. Now, yes, it is an additional fee for them to launder your garments for you, but it's not like a really, really expensive thing. And once again, some people, they really just don't want to go down to the laundry room, wait, have to go and switch out the clothing, things of that sort. So just keep in mind, if that is something that you want to do, once you get inside of your stateroom, inside of the drawer, there will be a bag that you can put your clothing in, and then there will be a card that you can fill out exactly what clothing you need laundered and what you need done to that particular clothing, okay? So with that being said, we are on the subject still of the laundry room. So when you get in the laundry room, normally there's about 4 or 5 washers and dryers, as well as a machine for you to go ahead and get out your laundry detergent and your fabric softener. Now, I did have an issue when I went to one of the laundry rooms. So what happened is I got in there and I had purchased my laundry detergent, waited my time. I think it was about 30, 40 minutes. Laundry was done, came in, got ready to dry clean it, or not dry clean it, but dry it. So I go to the machine, right? I go ahead and swipe my card and I'm saying, okay, so I need fabric softener sheets. That's exactly what it said. But guess what? Fabric softener liquid came out. I mean, come on now, what am I going to do with that? Fabric softener liquid in a dryer? It's not happening. Now, had I known that, I would have got it prior and put that inside of the washing machine so that it could have actually softened up the fabric, and then I would have not had to use it, period. So if you happen to run into that same situation where you're buying dryer sheets that's actually plastered on the picture and liquid comes out, simply take it to guest services and they will refund you for it. Because obviously, if you've already washed your clothing, you can't use liquid, obviously. Please don't do that if you thought you could anyways. Yeah, please don't do that. So anyways, there's a little alternative as well. You could bring some of the travel size laundry detergent and dryer sheets for yourself if you don't want to pay that fee. I want to say it's around $3.25 per wash or $3.75. I can't remember. I really want to say $3.25. So I think it's $3.25 per wash and dry. Let's see what else that we have left. Let's talk about some of the over-the-door organizers. We all know what those are for, keeping all of your shoes. Let's just say you're out at the beach and you got shoes that's got sand. Well, you don't want all that all over your floor, because guess what? Every time you're walking, let's just say you don't wear socks inside of your stateroom. Well, guess what? Now you're feeling that sand every time. And so you make sure that you keep those organizers. So once again, let's just say you have a lot of different lotion bottles, sunscreen. I mean, anything miscellaneous, even hats that are, collapsible, foldable. You can use that over-the-door organizer, for all of that miscellaneous stuff. So we won't go too far into that. Let's talk about the restroom. We all know we got to use it. Come on now. There's too many good food options on the boat, right? You got everything from your buffet to your seafoods to the barbecue joint. You got everything, right? So when we in that restroom, what are we doing? Are we blowing it up and just coming out and just saying, hey, y'all got to deal with it? Nah, let's not do that. So go ahead and grab you some of the restroom spray. I'll say you can go to some of the gas stations. I don't know how everybody's gas stations are set up, but normally I'm just gonna say if you go to the hood gas stations, you will find a product called blunt spray, right? Regardless of whether you smoke or whether you do not smoke, this spray is amazing. All right. So get you some of the blunt spray, or you can go and get you some of that. But it's basically like potpourri for the restroom. You know what I'm saying? Something that you spray directly inside the toilet once you're done or whatever. So you can pick up one of those things and self-explanatory. Take care of the bathroom. Take care of everybody in your room. They don't want to smell that. Yeah, yep. So let's just move on from that. Also, we'll talk about shampoo and conditioner. So on the cruise ship, they do provide a dispenser that already has shampoo and it does have conditioner. I'm not gonna lie, to me it smells amazing. It works just fine. But everybody is different, especially some of the women. The hair textures, whatever the case is. I don't know. I can't tell you what to use. If you're more comfortable bringing your own, that's fine. But I'm just saying they do have a dispenser where all of this stuff is already there. And so if you just want to take two less items for the shampoo and conditioner or the body wash or whatever that's in there, or the body gel as they say, then hey, you can leave that. But once again, make sure that you have that if you do need that and you need your own personal products, all right? We've already talked about the wine and the champagne. So we'll also talk about another room habit. So this is something that is very useful to have. I will try to put all of the links of the products that I'm talking about. If I do not carry them myself, I will put them in the comments, okay? So we'll talk about a sound machine that plays white noise. Now, of course, we all know that we can use our phones and do that, but if you do not have the internet package, you don't have it downloaded on your phone, then guess what? You can't play it. So with this particular sound machine, it's going to play that white noise. So let's just say you have someone in your room who's snoring. Let's just say maybe the hallway is a little too noisy and you're trying to get a little bit of sleep. Well, guess what? This white noise can help to mask out a lot of the noises that you do not want to hear. Maybe you're a very light sleeper and you might need that sound to go to sleep. So you can pick up one of these sound machines, and once again, it'll be something that's good for you as you're trying to get some sleep. Let's talk about lanyards real quick. Lanyards are a really good thing to have on a cruise because not only can you use that to secure your sign and sell card, your sell and sign card, but you can use that to also carry your debit cards, or you can use that to carry your cash and all that stuff all at the same time, okay? Also, I do want to talk about the RFID wallets. Now, these to me are good for when you're going out in the port because it has technology that blocks people that are using scammer devices to try and hit your card, or anything that's in that wallet. It's a technology. I really don't want to really go into explaining how it works, but just trust me, you won't know because they'll never hit your wallet. They'll never touch it. But it's a technology that can basically read that card. Next thing you know, you're getting an account statement and you're wondering where the money's gone or where the funds have gone. So it's called an RFID wallet that has basically a technology that pretty much blocks that signal so that anything that is being carried inside of this particular special wallet will be safe from any type of scammers, skimmers, machines, things of that sort, okay? So also, let's talk about Dramamine. Are you a person who goes on a cruise and you might get motion sickness? Or if you've never been on a cruise before, how do you feel when you're riding in a car? Or maybe you've been on a small boat, or maybe you just think that you might get cruise sick, right? Or not cruise sick, but motion sickness. So you might want to pick up some Dramamine. They also do have a version for children as well, so that maybe if you have little ones that you just maybe, weary about. I did the same thing. I took my son on his first cruise. I wasn't sure how he was going to pretty much take the environment or react to it. So I picked it up. Guess what? Never even had to use it. So it's still brand new, but at the same time, I knew I had it. So that was a safeguard for me. Now, there are all alternatives. I do have those as well. They are motion sickness patches. They also do have motion sickness wristbands, which I do not carry, but you can also look those up as well for anyone who may experience any kind of motion sickness. So make sure that you have whatever you need for motion sickness just on hand. All right. Make sure that you keep it in that carry-on bag that we talked about in the beginning, because once again, if you get on that boat and your room is not ready, you can't have access to it. So as the boat starts to sail away, or you're just on it and you feeling a little queasy or something of that sort, you want to make sure that you have something that you can take to remedy that situation on the spot. Okay. Let's also talk about another item that I take, and it's not always been useful just because I may look at it at the wrong time, but I always bring binoculars just because I never know what I might see out in sea. Or let's just say I'm at a port or something of that sort. I still always bring binoculars just because it's pretty fun to look at. And it's just one of those things where you just might surprise yourself and catch something or see something that you just may not know, right? So that's a little small tidbit of an item that you can bring. Let's also talk about your theme parties, okay? So each particular boat has its own theme party. So a part of your checklist, you want to make sure that you call Carnival, because you may not always find the most accurate information online. Now, I did post another previous video. I can't tell you which one it's in, but it might be in the video with the tips, right? About first-time cruiser tips. So what happened is in 2024, they did like revamp all of the theme parties. So sometimes there might have been a boat that might have had a superhero party. It no longer is on that particular sailing anymore. They may have replaced it with a white hot sail away, a hot white silent party or an 80s rock and glow. It just depends, but not every theme party that you find online may not be accurate for your particular ship. I mean, I'll put it this way. I even called Carnival one time and I'm sitting here talking to the representative and I'm like, hey, I'm going on this particular boat. What are the themes for this particular cruise? He goes and tells me some stuff. And I'm like, nah, I know the one that you're telling me about. I know it's not on this boat. And he kept swearing up and down. Yes, sir, it's on that one. So I called back the next day, talked to another person. And I'm like, so is this on this boat? And he was like, no, sir, it's on the Jubilee. I'm like, I knew it, because for what he told me, it was almost like it was a Western themed party. And so for me, it only made sense to be on the sailing that was leaving out of Galveston at the time on the Jubilee, and not the particular boat that I was leaving out of from New Orleans. Like, it made no sense to have a Western theme on that particular boat. It made no sense. So once again, although I did say call Carnival, you always want to still make sure that what they're telling you makes common sense, all right? So just make sure that you have what you need. So whether you need to purchase a costume or whether you just already have some little, items around the house you can throw together to make a cool little costume or whatever and stand out, make sure you have that. Also, another checklist item, make sure you have water shoes, all right? Water shoes are so important because I've been to so many different little beaches that guess what? They'll tell you there's no rocks in there. And it was horrible one time when I went to Cozumel. We particularly asked the cab driver, like, hey, take us to a beach where it is less rocks. Okay, I'm gonna take y'all there. We get there, as soon as I step into the water, nothing but rocks the entire time. And so it was super uncomfortable. Now just imagine how uncomfortable that would have been had I been in that water with nothing on my feet. So it's one of those things where you want to make sure that you have water shoes, and you always want to make sure that you have water shoes that have a hard sole on them as well. Not just the really, really squishy ones, because those really won't do anything for your feet as you're in this water sometimes. So make sure that you have the water shoes that are a little bit more or less like tennis shoes. And they're pretty good because you basically, I'll just tell you what I do. When I have my water shoes, I pretty much try to coordinate my outfits off of my water shoes, because my water shoes, I really don't like to be that kind of person where I'm out and about and I'm wearing water shoes, but now I have to go and change into the regular shoes. I would prefer to wear these water shoes all day, especially if I'm out and about in port or somewhere, because I never know if I'm going to go from eating into the ocean. And so it's just one of those things where I want to make sure that I have exactly what I need when I need it without having to keep so many extra items, you know what I mean, on my persons, right? So just make sure that you have water shoes. You can easily get some on Amazon or anywhere where you get water shoes, whether you get them locally or whatever. But just make sure you grab the best ones that are comfortable for you. Make sure they look good. Make sure you're dripping out there. All right. Let's talk about the next item that'll be great for your checklist, and that will be a dry bag. Now, this dry bag is one of those things where you can put any and everything inside of this dry bag, and it will keep all of the content safe as you are out in the ocean or just whatever you're doing. So with that being said, you want to make sure also that you have, in addition to this dry bag, you want to actually have your waterproof phone case. Now, it's funny because today there were a few comments on a post on one of the other videos about that water phone case. I know a lot of people, you know, you're just trying to save a buck and you're trying to go to Temu, you're trying to go to Wish, wherever you want to go, and you're getting these phone cases. But please be aware, these phones are not cheap, right? Now, iPhones, yes. I mean, as well as Android, a lot of the phones now are waterproof up to 30 minutes for a certain amount of depth, depending on what phone you have, right? But here's the thing. When you're dealing with salt water, that's a lot different than fresh water, because I can literally take my phone inside of a regular swimming pool and it'll be fine. But you can't take that same phone in the ocean because it was going to react way different and you get seriously messed up. So that's why you need that phone case that is waterproof, okay? So please make sure, if anything that you're cutting cost on, it's not that phone case. You want to make sure that that phone case is top tier. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but you don't want something that costs $1, $2, and you think that's going to keep your cell phone safe. I promise you, it's probably going to have some defect somewhere in it. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to take the chance, not on my phone. It doesn't even matter if I have insurance. I'm just not going to do it personally. I don't recommend that you do it either, but you can do what you want. But once again, make sure you try not to cut costs on that cell phone waterproof case. Let's talk about the towels. When you're dealing with towels, you want to make sure that you kind of get what's called a sand resistant towel. And that's great for the beaches. So that way, I mean, we've all had towels before at the beach and we've seen how annoying it is to get that sand out of there. Well, these particular towels are made with a certain technology that helps to repel that sand or keep it off of the towel. So that's going to be a good item for your checklist, is having that waterproof towel. Also make sure you grab towel clips. These towel clips are for when you're out on the Lido deck and you're having your towel on your seat. Well, guess what? There's going to be a lot of wind sometimes just because of the boat moving and you're out in the open ocean, and you'll sometimes have that wind current that blows through. Well, guess what? You don't want your towel or your belongings going anywhere. So you'll grab those towel clips and you'll take that and secure it around your towel, and that'll keep it fastened to your seat for the duration that you're there. Don't forget, there is a limit now, around 40 minutes or so. If you're hogging a seat, guess what? They will kindly remove your stuff for you and you'll have to pick it up, because guess what? They don't want people hogging chairs anymore. So keep that in mind. If you do secure your towel to your seat and you get up to go and eat, let's just say at Guy's Burgers or the Blue Iguana or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you come back at a reasonable time, so that way that other people who are out there, you know, maybe they want to sunbathe or whatever the case is, they can have a seat, whereas you're not using it anymore. All right. In addition to everything that I've already mentioned, another good thing to have is what? Sunscreen. A lot of us, and I'll be the first person to say, you know, I'm thinking, you know, because I'm dark skinned, yeah, I don't need sunscreen. And you know what? I've been on a lot of cruises and I've never burned. But there was this one particular cruise that I went on. And when I say the son was super disrespectful, I mean that. The son was definitely standing on business that day. And I'm out here in the water. And I'm guessing, guess what? That did not contribute to me trying to be safe out here. So I'm sitting in here dipping in this water. The sun's baking me every time I'm coming up. So now I'm sitting back here in my room. I'm like, man, it's burning a little bit back here. I'm like, okay, okay. Next thing I know, the next day, starting to peel a little bit. Now, unfortunately, I only peeled for about literally, I would say maybe like 2 days. But when I tell you that I had a tan that lasted probably like 5 months, yeah, I'm just gonna say it. The sun in Aruba was super disrespectful, and I don't appreciate it. So there's that. So hey, I don't care what your nationality is, ethnicity, whatever you want to call it, get sunscreen, especially for your children as well. Because what happened is those children will be running around playing all day in the waterworks area and not keeping any mind that the sun is beaming down on them the whole entire time. So, in order to keep our children safe as well as ourselves, let's just make sure that we grab the particular sunscreen that we need with the right SPF that we need for whatever we feel like we need. And, we'll be good to go. We won't be peeling. We won't be out here with the whole crab look, all of that type of stuff. We'll be good. Also, make sure that you grab you a good book, okay? Now, when I'm on a cruise, what I love to do, like I have a notebook that I write down like all of my ideas for like entrepreneurship, all that type of stuff, right? And then I also carry a book that's called Grace and Gratitude. And so what I'll do is I'm always out on the deck or whatever, and I'll just sit out there. Sometimes I'll grab me a little bite to eat, a snack or something, and I'll have it sitting with me out there. Most of the time, I try to do that in the Serenity area, just so that I'm not bothered by, children that are running around or whatever. And it's no issue with the children, but it's just a little bit more peace and quiet. I'll make sure that I take me, my wireless earbuds out there. That's another checklist item, earbuds. All right. I'll make sure I take those out there with me, and I'll have those in. And it's just kind of a way for me to listen to music, read, write my thoughts down. I mean, I know people have heard like being on a plane is kind of like where you get like the most creativity, because you're just kind of like, it's not like you're in the element in a sense, but you're kind of like just, I don't really even know how to describe it, but it's just one of those feelings where, especially being out on the boat and you're in the open ocean, it's so vast, and it's like you just think about like, man, how beautiful this is. Then the fact you're just out there just floating just peacefully, right? Undisturbed. All the problems that are back at home or whatever, at least for that particular moment, like you don't have them. Even if you know they still exist, in that particular moment, they don't. So for me, it's like the perfect time for me to write ideas down, whether it's working on a book that I'm writing, or whether it's just a new business adventure that I want to kind of get myself into, whether I'm trying to work out the kinks and the logistics of that, or just whatever the case is. That's the time that I use to do those things. And you'll be surprised how much creative juice you have, like as you're doing that. Speaking of juice, we're going to segue right onto something else. And what is that? A power bank. Make sure that you have that as well, because guess what? When you're in those staterooms, you will basically notice that there's usually only one outlet most of the time. So with that being said, make sure you have your power bank, so that way that when you're not in the stateroom, you can charge up your phone, your devices, your tablet, computer, whatever the case may be, whatever it can charge. And then also you want to make sure that you have a surge protector. But with me saying surge protector, it needs to be non-surge. So let me rephrase that: a non-surge power strip. Make sure that you get one of those. It cannot be a surge protector. The way you'll know it's a surge protector is normally if it has a reset button to reset it if it, goes off. And so basically make sure that you have a non-surge power strip. Those are the only things that are in compliance with cruise standards for their ships. All right. Last but not least, I want to let you know about the last few little things for a checklist. Now, the checklist could go on and on and on because there's so many different things. But what I will do is I will drop a link. It'll probably be a PDF file of the checklist that I have that is probably, like I said, the most beneficial for me, anyways. And you can take that list and you can add your own things to it so that next time you have a complete list of things that you know that you need, right? So, one thing I wanted to say is, ladies, and I will say even some of the men too, because I've seen some of the men do it too, but make sure that you have you some swimwear cover up because they've kind of started cracking down on that as far as the attire for the bathing suits and just being out and about in some of the public areas, the eating areas when you're not actually at the pool, and your attire is kind of causing a scene, right? So like I've said in another video, we all have kids. Let's just make sure that we're doing the right thing, covering up. I understand you want to be sexy, you want to be cute out there, and that's cool. But guess what? There still are children there. And guess what? If you want to go on a cruise where there's no kids and you don't have to worry about that, there are ones out there for you to do that, where there are just strictly 18 and up cruises. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about covering up or any of the embarrassment that comes with getting called out or told to go and change or something of that effect. All right. Also, I wanted to talk about making sure that you have you a light jacket because once again, there will be times where, especially at night, there is going to be a breeze on the deck. So let's just say you're out there watching the movies for the movie night. You want to make sure that you have you a jacket or something, even if it's your blanket from your stateroom or any of that. You want to make sure that you have something that will keep you at least warm, but it's not too much, okay? Also, the last thing that I definitely wanted to touch on, let me look at some of my notes here real quick, is a reusable bottle. There's a lot of times where sometimes I'll just have the regular water bottle that I have and I'll just fill it up at the machines. But it's a good idea to have a reusable water bottle, even if it's one of the insulated kind or whatever, to keep your beverages hot or cold, no matter what the conditions are. Those are the most ideal things to have. Just because, when you get on the cruise ship, if you don't have your own bottle or things of that sort, or you haven't pre-purchased water bottles from the cruise line prior to getting on, those cups are probably about like that big in size. And I know you probably can't tell from this video how big I'm saying, but trust me, it's almost like coffee cup size or like a teacup type size cup. So you'll have to fill up several of those, especially if you're a person who likes to have a lot of drink as you're eating your food or whether it's after, you will constantly have to fill that up. So by bringing your own reusable bottle, that'll be the perfect thing. Also, I've reiterated this before. If you have alcoholic beverages, let me just tell you, look, and I don't want to be the bad person to tell you this, but once again, I've seen plenty of people get caught. I've seen plenty of people get away with it. But do you really want to risk trying to sneak alcohol onto the boat? For what? Like, I get it. You don't want to pay, so you'd rather bring your own, but really you pay to buy that too. So what is the real difference? I don't know. So you rather pay, you know what I mean? And I'm guessing you just figure because it's a lot cheaper to do it, by the bottle and you can just kind of pour it as you need. But once again, how many bottles of shampoo, how many bottles of mouthwash do you think you're going to have in your luggage before they like, nah, this ain't it. This is not it. You don't want them to take that liquid to the machine and scan it. I don't know if some of y'all been through that particular port, but there are some that definitely have that machine that will tell exactly what liquid it is. I'm just saying, you don't want to be that person. We've already talked about it before, so I'm not going to go into it. But definitely, like I said, the contraband, the things that you shouldn't have, is it worth it? I personally don't think it is. Trust me. I'm not saying that, there aren't other little small things to try to get away with and things of that sort. But I'm not willing to risk any of the one rules that I know definitely going to get me kicked off if I get caught. And then guess what? I done forfeited my fare. I can't get it back. Now what? So yeah, I definitely don't want to be that person, right? So just make sure you do what you got to do. Like I said, I'm gonna try to leave the checklist in the description below so that you can look at it, you can download it, you can print it, you can add to it, whatever the case may be. Also, once again, if you're needing items that are actually on my website already, let me know. Also, with group shirts, there's a lot of people who go on cruises with a big group, right? But now y'all all out here, no group shirts or whatever the case may be. If you need some custom group shirts, let me know. I can design all that for you. I do not charge any shipping in the US. Outside of the US, I do. But in the US, there is no shipping. There is no minimum as far as what you can order. Literally, if you want one shirt, you can order one shirt. That's it. So once again, just make sure you hit me up if you need that. You can either, I guess, write a comment. You can hit the email that's in the YouTube description as well, or you can just go ahead and hit the link there. If you need to send me a contact information or a message on the website, there's a contact page for you to do that as well. And once again, I hope you guys have a great holiday weekend. And until the next time, I do have some more cruises coming up, so I will be having some more footage that'll be epic, epic, epic from the cruise. And I have some big things in store. So those will be coming. But I just definitely wanted to come to you guys today and just kind of get a video out there because I hadn't talked to you guys in a while. And I missed, having y'all's energy, having y'all's comments, you guys viewing the videos, giving feedback. So I just kind of missed it. So I just wanted to come and reach out to you guys today just to reiterate a few things on checklists solely, So with that being said, we'll holler at you the next time. And until then, peace.